Hey, what's going on, guys? So I wanted to make a bit of a follow-up video to the video I put out either this week or the week before, talking about whether or not Kashin Koji was actually Jiraiya. And after the events of Boruto chapter 23 and after seeing the reaction in the fandom, I think now's the time for us to have a very serious discussion, and that's whether or not revealing Kashin Koji as being Jiraiya, the pervy sage, the master of Naruto, whether or not revealing this would actually ruin not only the Boruto series, but also ruin the Naruto series. Now, I know that might seem like a bit of a stretch in order to make this connection and say revealing Kashin Koji to be a fan favorite in this manner would absolutely ruin the series, but I do want to acknowledge the other side of this argument, which is something that at the first time when this theory popped up, the stance that I took, which is this would be a bad idea to go about this route. Now, I understand why a lot of people say this. There's some merit to this. The way that Jiraiya died was easily one of the most heartbreaking deaths in the Naruto series. In fact, when I listed my top 5 deaths in the Naruto series, Jiraiya came in at number 1 because when the volumes were coming out way back when the manga was coming out weekly, and you were reading these chapters on a week-by-week basis, one of the things that was going on was you got this very real sense that Jiraiya was actually going to die. And it was in that moment when you realized that there was no escaping for Jiraiya. It was in that moment that a lot of people shed tears, and I'd be lying if I told you that seeing Jiraiya die, reading that during that time period back in like 2007, 2008 didn't strike a chord with me. And now that we're almost 10 years, give or take a year or so, now that we're at this point since Jiraiya's death, bringing Jiraiya back could stir up a lot of emotions in a lot of fans, and I can see a lot of people outright dropping the Boruto series. But I do want to give Kodachi this much. I do think it's important for us to at least wait to see how and why this might be Jiraiya, and we will get some information about this because you don't drop breadcrumbs like this and not going anywhere with it. And it's something that the original Naruto series did, and I'm not talking about the Tobi. Is Tobi really Izuna Uchiha? Is he really Sasuke from the future? I'm not using any of that. And yes, Sasuke from the future was a popular theory back in the day, but I'm not using that. Instead, I'm gonna go back to a little before this. A lot of people, when Pain was first revealed at the end of the Naruto versus Sasuke fight, and you saw this character with these crazy eyes in the silhouettes, and then when you actually saw the leader of the Akatsuki and Jiraiya was investigating him, a lot of people thought maybe the true identity behind Pain was actually the 4th Hokage, and that was a really popular theory that the 4th Hokage was the leader of the Akatsuki. And so the original Naruto series, whether it be from that moment to the who is Tobi moment to who is in the final coffin that Kabuto had, it's always been built around who is this person, this mystery factor. It kept people tuning into the anime, it kept people reading the manga when it was going weekly, and when you get to Jiraiya's death, it could cheapen what he actually died for, because when Jiraiya died, he essentially passed on the torch to his godson Naruto, which is pretty big, because when you look at Jiraiya, this might piss off a lot of people, and I'm a Jiraiya fan, but what might piss people off is the fact when you look at Jiraiya, he hasn't really accomplished much. And I don't want to take much away from him, but I do want to put something in context for you. Yes, he trained a once-in-a-generation genius in Minato, but how much of that was Minato being a once-in-a-generation genius? It's really easy to say, hey, I've got a kid LeBron James. I might have to show him how to get the form correct, but a lot of that is just generational talent. So you can put Minato kind of as an anomaly. When you look at him, he wasn't able to stop Orochimaru from going into the dark side of the Naruto verse. He wasn't able to get Tsunade. He basically turned his back on Naruto as an infant, and when he finally came back in the 3 years that he got to train him, just about 3 years, it's a little less than 3, but in that time period, Naruto did mature, but at the same time, compare that to what Kakashi did when Kakashi taught him how to use the changing chakra nature in less time. In only a few weeks, Naruto learned changing chakra nature, whereas in a few years of training, Naruto barely had better chakra control, and Naruto could only make a bigger Rasengan. So when you look at that as a teacher, Jiraiya might have dropped the ball with Naruto. Then, when you take things a step further, he trained Nagato, and Nagato ended up founding the Akatsuki. Just let that sink in. The same organization who was hunting down his godson, Jiraiya's poor choices, while good-natured, they were poor choices. They led to the creation of the Akatsuki, and as they say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And so when you look at all of this, and you look at the fact that on one hand he set Naruto up in order to be the character that we know and love now, but at the same time you have to wonder, would Jiraiya joining the Car organization, if this happens, would this be something like Jiraiya playing the Itachi role, being more of the anti-hero, living in that more gray area with the true intentions of protecting the village while spying on the inside as possible? Kodachi has reused some of the themes, but at the same time, if that were to happen, I feel it cheapened the death, and I feel it cheapened the death for another reason, which is it's been so long we've accepted Jiraiya's died, and so to bring him back in this manner, it's different than when you brought back Obito, because when you were first revealed to Obito way back in the Naruto series, I want to say it's in volume 27, I know that, but like in those chapters, like 240, 250, when you got introduced to Obito, I know for me, I didn't really care for him. He was a character that Kakashi referenced in passing, and you found out little small things like the whole why Kakashi's being late thing, how Kakashi really got his Sharingan, where that line about turning your back on your friends and those who turn their back on their friends are worse than scum. Well, you found out a lot about Kakashi. It humanized him, but at the same time, I didn't particularly care for Obito so much in the Kakashi Gaiden. And so when you look at the anime version, they did a little better of kind of building up the dynamic of them, and the difference is you didn't really care. And so when we found out that it was Obito, people were pissed off because they had built up all these expectations about who was really Toby, and there were some really interesting theories, and it didn't live up to expectations. A lot like what happened in Star Wars, where with The Last Jedi, everyone had all these ideas of who Snoke was, and then in the movie, spoiler alert, but in the movie, Rian Johnson has Kylo Ren just chop this dude in half in less than 3 minutes into his monologue. So I want to say that to say with Jiraiya, if this is indeed Jiraiya, this is a fan favorite. Obito wasn't a fan favorite. This is a fan favorite. So at this point, you're going to get a reaction similar to what happened with Luke Skywalker dying in The Last Jedi, where it divided the community. Some people loved it, a lot of people hated it. And I think that this is the same thing that would happen if you bring back Jiraiya in this manner. But those are my thoughts on this, guys. I will say that I'm open to giving this idea, and I do think that if the right narrative was crafted, if things are gone about in the right way, we could have this happen. Because imagine having the legendary Sannin meet up again, and you have Orochimaru have those famous lines being brought back up, where during the war arc, one of the things he said when he was speaking to Tsunade, and I'm going to paraphrase, but one of the things he said was, you have to look at it from this perspective. If Jiraiya was really alive, maybe Jiraiya would have changed. So don't throw that back at me. You never know what happens. Things can change. People's whole perspective can change. And so imagine Orochimaru actually being the one who reaches out to Jiraiya to try to talk some sense into him. And it would make a lot of sense if it was Orochimaru, because he has skin in the game for the new generation, because his son is being brought up through Konoha. But those are just my thoughts on this matter, guys. What do you think? And do you think that if Kashin Koji is really Jiraiya, do you think that it would cause Naruto to have an emotional breakdown? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching the end of the video, guys. Have an awesome day.